We're just about to get into our dawn debate. We'll be speaking to Senator Elizabeth Ongoro, and she has been in the headlines for quite a while now. When it comes to her political career, she did defect from ODM to the Amani National Congress. Senator, many thanks for joining us on Morning Express.
Thank you.
And like I mentioned, there's been quite a bit about you in the media. In just a moment, we will be taking a report when it comes to you and your supporters and Senator Kajwang, and that is coming up just a moment. And so this is Elizabeth Ongoro. She is running for the Ruaraka parliamentary seat on the Amani National Congress. It has not been a smooth ride, though, for the former Kasarani Member of Parliament who is running against incumbent TJ Kajwang. The political competition has since seen Ongoro ditch ODM from ANC. So we're going to hear now from the very resilient lady. They've termed you as the Iron Lady of ODM. That was before. Talk to us about your troubles politically since that fine that was thrown at you.
Should I call them troubles? Just good challenges, not anything out of the ordinary, really. I had to look for political space in a new outfit, which is the Amani National Congress. And I don't know if you want to get the whole story, or you just want me to respond?
We do want story, especially when it comes to the issue of your supporters and those of TJ Kajwang. In the first incident, one person was confirmed dead, and there was a lot of allegations. Initially, you'd said that it was because he was given a direct nomination ticket. He came out and said that ticket was never given in the first place, raising questions of integrity against you.
Let me just put the story as it was. There was never any conflict between my supporters and Kajwang's supporters. What happened was an attack on my person and my supporters. Around that time, we were doing recruitment, party membership, and I decided to concentrate on the women because we were doing digital registration, and the women were lagging behind. So I decided to call the women leadership and allow them that opportunity to register as party members. So we held our first meeting on the 14th in Korokocho. And this is a meeting for women, you remember. And we are doing recruitment. All manner of women, pregnant, carrying children, and all that. And then we were attacked inside a hall by rowdy youths carrying placards written Kajwang Tena. And it shocked me because had it been a youth meeting, I would have thought that my youths, or those youths who were attending the meeting, had something to do with the other youths, but this was an absolute women's meeting. Now, when we were attacked inside the hall, and the women themselves gave me a human shield and repulsed these marauding youths, I thought maybe they were sent to just ensure that the meeting doesn't take off or something like that. Anyway, we continued with the meeting. But when we were leaving, they really attacked the women. That is what really pained me. We recorded statements. We have OB records. And I reported to the party headquarters. And I thought that was just a bad incident which needed the party to reprimand.
So it was an attack, and the fighting was coming from one side, but
one side.
Person,
I mean, when you say a conflict, it means two sides, two opposing sides were conflicting.
All right.
But this was an attack.
So that was an attack. But
that was an attack, but that was on the 14th.
This year, Senator, you also attended another meeting.
I think you need to now get that perspective. Having gone through that, a day later, we were now in Madare constituency, again a women's meeting. I thought that was an isolated incident that would not be repeated. And funny enough, this time round, they were very bold. I have text messages that they sent with death threats. But even though I reported, I thought then they would not make good their threat. It was again a women's meeting. The women had organized that meeting in a church, inside a church hall. So I went for the meeting, but when we were just about to get into the hall, there was this group of about 100 armed youths who came from within the slums, they looked so organized with new weapons. So what I know is that there was a very organized force behind them.
If you were not part of these organizing forces, why is it that the tribunal slapped you without one minute?
But that is the question. That is the question, and that is why I felt aggrieved. That is the question. What is surprising to you is what surprised me, because it was not a conflict. Women were attacked. A woman lost her pregnancy. Babies who they were carrying were dropped in the ditches, and women's clothes were torn. And these people were attacking innocent women who were not armed. And it was not an incident that was just sporadic. It looked very real and very organized.
So let's focus.
And what really intrigued me was that the fact that even when we reported to the party, complete with the recordings, because some people took recordings, that my party did not do anything. And that, being a woman, I thought that if women can be attacked twice, and eventually these marauding youth eventually kill an innocent person, because it was such a vicious attack. If it happened at night without witnesses, that would be another case. But this was during the day, in broad daylight. We were then shepherded. I could not even get to my car.
So that was
when I left. It was after I left. Behind, they killed somebody. But they did not stop at that. They went back to Mathare at night and went house to house.
So who are they? When you talk about they, who are they?
I am still shocked. And what is really more shocking is that the authorities mandated to investigate and unravel this mystery have done nothing about it. I went and reported to the CID.
We'll come back to that. That was a second incident. There was another incident, and that was the 1st of June this year. There was a meeting in Ruaraka, which apparently you were not invited to, and the word is that you stormed that meeting uninvited with your supporters, ending in a stalemate. And before we get your thoughts on that, let's just run this story. This was a supremacy war between nominated Senator Elizabeth Ongoro and Ruaraka Member of Parliament TJ Kajwang, which overshadowed Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero's rally in Babadogo grounds on the 1st of June. Let's take a look.
Ruaraka constituency in Nairobi County has been billed as one of the political hotspots in the coming general elections. And Thursday's events did not disappoint when nominated Senator Elizabeth Ongoro arrived in the company of her supporters at this rally at Babadogo grounds. Determined to have both her say and way, Ongoro, mobbed by her relenting supporters, forced her way to the podium, managing to sit just 2 seats from her political opponent TJ Kajwang. And perhaps with the intention to send a clear message to Kajwang, Ongoro supporters kept on disrupting the proceedings at the rally, occasionally heightening the tension that had already engulfed the ground. And after some push and pull, Ongoro finally had a say. Ongoro and Kajwang went against each other in the race for the ODM ticket for Ruaraka constituency. However, the ticket was handed to Kajwang, to Ongoro's disappointment. And even though Ongoro will be contesting the Ruaraka constituency on a Amani National Congress Party ticket, the level of acrimony witnessed at this rally only serves to explain how fierce the duel between the two shall be.
So that particular meeting, Senator, comes way after you decamped from ODM. What drove you to the ODM meeting?
Listen, I think in this interview, you need to get the perspective. And to say that I stormed a NASA rally is really out of a very extreme statement.
It was an ODM meeting.
It was a NASA meeting. Yes, you remember that Kidero is running under the banner of NASA.
Right.
He's a NASA candidate. He's the only candidate that we have running for the governor. On that day, I had just given in my nomination papers. I had been cleared. I intended to do a roadshow. And then I was informed that we had a rally being attended by my governor. And it only was reasonable for me not to have a parallel activity within the constituency. So I decided to attend. I did not storm. I was attending a NASA rally after presenting my papers. And I don't know why anybody would station youths to try and bar me from attending a rally. Let me just inform you that we never get invitations to attend any rally. There are no invitations that are sent to anybody. You attend rallies because that is, and especially if it is within your area of interest. It would be interesting if I attended a Jubilee rally, for example. But this was a NASA rally.
Well, according to that report,
I was going to accompany, even yesterday, I accompanied my governor when he was at the railway club. I didn't get any invitation.
Right, and the issue
there
also
was nobody.
Also the conduct of your supporters that go there, because that has also been captured.
No, there was no conduct of any of my
report.
supporters. I went there walking with just a few bodyguards, but there were. It looks like there are people who did not want me to attend, and I don't think I'm going to sit pretty for anybody to stop me from exercising my democratic right and space by attending a public rally. So I think you should ask yourself, who is this person behind these goons,
and that is the question,
who try to strategically position themselves?
Why would someone want to attack you, Senator?
That is the question. Why would somebody want to attack an innocent woman who is just walking into a rally?
Right.
From that caption, do you see me armed? Do you see my bodyguards armed in any way? I am walking to a rally, and somebody sends youths to strategically block me. It only beats logic, and it's only logical that I had to still make it to the platform.
Definitely. Let's focus on maybe why this could be happening. You are contesting for the Ruaraka parliamentary seat, but you also served as the Kasarani Member of Parliament. So why this very strong resolve to serve in Ruaraka as opposed to Kasarani? Well,
first of all, I think all this is happening because there's somebody who just doesn't want competition. There's somebody who just does not want anybody to compete with him in the race. Because I have been in the race before. I have never witnessed this kind of attacks and this kind of opposition. We need to have a system where everybody is allowed to exercise their democratic rights. We are talking about allowing women their democratic space. Why would the incumbent, for example, find it so extreme and react in such extraordinary ways when I am simply getting into the race?
So you're accusing the incumbent of these attacks?
I suspect that he is behind it. Yes. Who else? Because under the banner of NASA, it's just the two of us. So who else should I suspect?
So what action have you taken? And again, going back to the question, why is it that you are found culpable and later fined?
I took the appropriate action while I was still in ODM by notifying, by not reacting, but notifying the office headquarters so that they could prevail upon him to exercise his rights while I also exercise my rights, and we asked for votes.
Right.
I thought that was the right thing. I was not even tempted to also form a group of goons to go and attack his goons. No. I will not fall into that trap. So what I did was the most logical thing under the circumstances. I simply reported. I gave them clips. I was accompanied by the women who were limping and hurt and with bandages. And I told them this has to stop. And that was what I expected them to act upon.
Right. Now you say you are not culpable for any of these attacks, but then again the question is why you are the one who was fined 1 million shillings at the end of the day.
That is the question.
Why do you think this is happening? Because
that is the question.
You've also been quoted as saying that women in the political arena are being harassed by the men in the political arena. You're not the first one who said that. The likes of Cecilia Mbaria are the same. But how do you think that we get out of this situation?
Yeah, precisely. And I mean, you asked me earlier to state why I eventually had to quit. I mean, when you feel that you are the victim, when you feel you're the one being victimized instead, when you have seen and witnessed women being attacked, what do you expect me to do as a woman? And then, further to that, instead of that issue being addressed, you are fined. It's like, you're being punished for doing the right thing. For reporting, you are being encouraged to fall into the trap of your male competitors to also have goons attacking each other. Women cannot compete with men in terms of this kind of violence. You know that one of the challenges facing women candidates all over the world, actually, is the political violence. And political violence being meted against unarmed women, I would accept if it was just directed at me personally as a candidate. But innocent women who have walked out of their houses to come and hear what a woman leader has to say, or to register as voters, ending up in hospital, being hospitalized because for doing the right thing. No, that is unacceptable. And yes, the question that you are asking is what I'm also asking. Why, after all that, would they still then find it right to tell me to pay 1 million for doing the right
I'm sure
thing?
there's procedures.
So that, no, those procedures
in
is
even
what I was...
giving one a fine, and you're told why you were fined and whatnot. What reason were you given?
I was not given any tangible reason. I was not put through a convincing process. In the first place, I was a woman under siege. And, I felt that women were really under siege. The committee that was set up was a committee of 3 men. When I presented myself at the party headquarters and at the party leader's office, I was the only woman in a panel of 8 men. Throughout, I felt that this was an orchestrated process to either protect yet another male, a group of males protecting their own, which is, I'm not new to, but the level at which it was being exercised, the boldness that they were exhibiting in trying to state, and they didn't stop at that. I then received a letter requesting me to kindly consider conceding and ceding ground to Kajwang to consider going to a different constituency. Now, that was just it, because all my suspicions, everything that I thought was happening, they just put it in writing. I asked myself, why would it be when we are only 2 contestants and it's a woman and a man? Why is it the woman being asked to consider, not giving that man any competition? I have been in competition before. When I was elected Kasarani Member of Parliament, we were 38 in that race. Only 3 women and the rest were men. No, I did not ask anybody to cede ground. Before that, we were in a contest, the political contest of my political party, and we were 18 of us. And after trouncing them, I then faced 33 opponents, and I emerged winner. So why would I now be finding myself in a situation where one man, all the men that should really ensure that democracy is exercised, happen to be speaking with one voice, that one particular man should not face any competition whatsoever?
Right. And
bearing in mind that we are only 2 in that race under the NASA banner. We have a 3rd contestant who is running on Jubilee ticket, who also happens to be a man. I just thought, no. If I will not do it this time round, and I'm not doing it for myself, I could go to any other parliamentary constituency. But then, what does that speak?
So that's the question you want. What are your interests?
What does that speak to the young women who are entering the political process? If I, at this age and time, with the experience I have accumulated, I can be bundled out of a constituency simply because a man is being saved. So I said, I will make a statement, if not for myself, for all the young women who are entering this space.
All right. What are your interests in Ruaraka constituency? Because you've previously also run for the position of senator, and you've since completely abandoned it. Why this particular parliamentary seat, and why this particular constituency?
Thank you very much. To use the word abandon is very, very wrong. I was running for the Senate of Nairobi, even in 2013. To jog your mind, you remember that I was in the race until the last day. In fact, the competition was so fierce that after all my opponents ceded and realized they could not compete, I remained as the only candidate in my party. But come nomination day, my name was missing from the ballot.
Right.
I had been bundled out of that race unceremoniously, without anybody giving an explanation. I had put in my best, emotionally, financially, time-wise, 4 years. And my ticket was given to yet another woman. Now, if you don't see, that was a real big trick. Pitting two strong women in Nairobi against each other, eventually both of us lost, and a man won that seat. I was nominated to the Senate, but still I wanted to be elected as senator, and I started my campaigns very early. I've been campaigning. And to say that I dropped that, it's not right.
Right.
I was prevailed upon again.
So your name
for the
was
second
missing.
time.
Well, your name was missing, and just say you were prevailed on upon...
No, you are mixing two issues. That was in 2013.
Yes.
This time round, I was prevailed upon again by my party to consider not running for the Senate.
All right, and
because, again, the scenario that was obtaining in 2013 was still prevailing. So after being prevailed upon, I discussed, and because that was just about, 2 months to nomination. So I quickly had to reconsider my stand. I humbly ceded again for the second time. And it only made sense that I go to a constituency that I am familiar with. Remember, Ruaraka constituency was part of the larger Kasarani constituency. Kasarani constituency, when I represented it, was the second most populous in the country. It eventually produced 4 constituencies, Ruaraka being one of them. So with only 60 days to run, it would not be wise politically to go to a completely new ground. So I decided to choose one of the constituencies that was within the former Kasarani constituency, and I landed on Ruaraka.
All right.
And by the way, I find it absolutely normal. I could have gone to Turkana Central or any other constituency, and I don't have to explain myself. The Constitution is very clear. You are free to vie anywhere of your choice within the boundaries of Kenya, and Ruaraka happens to be one of those constituencies.
What would you say your track record is in Kasarani
Very good.
constituency? Because many would think then you would still run in Kasarani constituency, because if your track record is good, then your chances of re-election would
now,
be high.
there's no constituency now called Kasarani as it was constituted before. The former Kasarani constituency produced 4 constituencies. It's only one of them retained the name Kasarani. But then the constitution is therefore very different. I decided to choose a constituency that I think I wanted to represent, because Ruaraka has one of the highest numbers of informal settlements and those living below the poverty line. And for me, I'm in politics for a specific reason. It's not just, choosing any constituency where, provided I get to parliament. You remember that in 2013, when this same ticket was handed to me, I refused. I'm not in leadership for simply just taking it easy and going to parliament. I have to represent certain ideals and beliefs. And I believe that I have what it takes to give something positive to these people who are living this kind of life. First, I identify with them. Secondly, I understand them. I have represented them before. Third, there are projects that I already started for them, which I would see, I thought that the incumbent would have seen to some logical conclusion, which he has not. So I feel very comfortable going back to an area where I have an interest of serving the people in the way and manner that I think will impact their lives positively.
So as it is, we're 60 days to the election, and you've already seen the kind of politics between you and Kajwang in Ruaraka constituency. Are you going to accept the final result if you are not the winner of that election?
Of course. If I'm not the winner, why would I contest? I mean...
You've already cited some favoritism, some irregularities on his part.
No. I have cited that within a political process of a political outfit. We are going to the general election, which is at some level, you expect that certain things will not obtain in IEBC, for example, as they would in a political party. And I will not be able to go into details of what I think went wrong and what should be done. What I want to state is this. If you enter a race, you must be prepared to either win or concede that you have lost. If you do that in a process that is satisfactory, that you feel was free and fair and democratic, then why not? Why wouldn't I?
All right. I'd like to go back to the ODM issue, but in just a moment. As we speak, you mentioned Ruaraka has one of the biggest in settlements, or one of the most in settlement, informal settlements, rather, in Nairobi. But it's also a rather industrialized constituency, so to speak. So how do you plan, if elected, or if you win this position, how do you plan to work with both the county governments and your constituents to ensure that they can leverage from the kind of industrialization we have in the constituency?
Representing the people boils down to one thing: ensuring that their livelihoods and the quality of life is enhanced. For me, in Ruaraka constituency, which has about 70% youth population, most of my policies will be directed towards ensuring job creation for the youth. Because with that alone, when the youth are positively engaged, it has a direct impact on matters of security, because with this, the level of unemployment in Ruaraka constituency, you cannot handle insecurity. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter whatever structures you put in place, so long as the youth are not able to get something to earn a living, because most of them now marry early. He has a wife and children to feed. We have young mothers. If you're not going to put something in their hands, then it does not matter. It means you are not handling insecurity at the root cause of insecurity. So I will concentrate on policies that will create employment for the youth, including self-employment. That includes capacity building. That includes also concentrating on tertiary education within Ruaraka constituency to give them adequate skills. And it's only after that you can then deal with the matter of insecurity.
Right.
Because without dealing with the root cause of insecurity, you are not doing anything. Secondly, I will also give priority to learning institutions, including my pet project. You remember when I was MP for Kasarani, I managed to build, to construct a lot of classrooms. I built Kasarani Polytechnic, Youth Polytechnic. I also constructed single-handedly from scratch Kariobangi Girls, which was it was supposed to be Kasarani Girls boarding school, but then that land was grabbed, and I transferred the resources to Kariobangi Girls. It's a girls' school that was started during my tenure. It now has a capacity of 1,200 girls. I'm very proud of that. I intend to still build an institution of learning for girls, both primary and secondary. Why do I say this? We have very bright girls in that constituency and other constituencies, of course. But the environment within which they find themselves is not conducive for learning.
Let's speak more of that environment, because as we speak, Ruaraka constituency still has a lot of issues when it comes to housing and housing infrastructure. We have the likes of, it is near Huruma, the likes of Huruma, where a building collapsed not very long ago. Several buildings after that were earmarked for demolition, including several in Ruaraka constituency, and many of them were demolished halfway, which is now something that is harboring not just criminals and frustrating the security situation there, but simply just also we have residents who are still living in these buildings which have been earmarked for demolition. What would you do?
That was going to be my next item.
All right, very briefly
I told you about job creation and then concentrating on learning institutions. My third agenda would be slum upgrading. Huruma doesn't happen to be in Ruaraka, though, and in Ruaraka I don't have any buildings that have been earmarked for demolition. They are in Kariobangi, which is now in Kariobangi North, Embakasi North constituency. But in Ruaraka I have a lot of so many slum areas. And slum upgrading for me, therefore, as I did in Mathare 4A during my tenure, would now then go for Korokosho and places like Babadogo. And because when you enhance the quality of life in the slums, you make the roads accessible, you make people start appreciating a certain level of livelihood, of living standards, then they aspire to maintain it and to get more. So slum upgrading will be top of the list also.
All right, we have to wind up. So we're out of time, but many thanks for speaking to us. A very elaborate plan there you have for Ruaraka constituency. All the best in your conquest. And we've been speaking to nominated Senator Elizabeth Ongoro, who is running for the Ruaraka parliamentary seat on an ANC ticket against TJ Kajwang. And we will be watching that race closely. It is now 50 minutes past the hour, bringing us to a close here on Morning Express.